Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another one of our Underdog shows. Today I'm joined by Mitch Snyder. Snyder and I have been doing these best ball shows all season long, so we've been deep in these best ball streets for a while now. Snyder made a great call at the beginning of the season, calling Chase as the next Justin Jefferson, saying that he's actually going to surpass Justin Jefferson, and we've seen that actually happen as far as the rookie seasons comparable go. But yeah, we've been on the Bengals all year. Happy to see them making it to the Super Bowl, and we did well in the playoffs too. I think I hit all my calls except for maybe three in those playoffs leading up to where we're at right now. I got a couple teams left in the gauntlet and gauntlet returns as far as Underdog best ball go, and I got pretty full teams actually. I got one full Bengals stack going in the gauntlet returns, as well as a missing one player out of a stack on the Rams in that same contest, and then I got a full Rams stack in the gauntlet along with Tyler Boyd. So it's been a good best ball season, especially the playoffs. Snyder, how you doing, man? How's everything going in your best ball world?
I'm doing pretty good. My playoff best ball teams kind of ruined or hit the hay in the last couple of rounds with the Chiefs and the Bills both going down, but I think I have like maybe one or two teams left, but it's got like maybe one or two guys on it at most. So I'm pretty much dead in the finals here. But it was a good overall regular long season. Pretty fun playoff season though. I think I still ended up making a little bit of money on the playoffs, but can't remember quietly how much, but I'm definitely interested in this Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a great matchup here with the Rams and the Bengals. It kind of, on paper, it doesn't set up as well for the Bengals, but the Bengals been counted out this whole playoffs. Joey Burrow's got the swagger rolling, so he's definitely going to be ready to roll this weekend, so I can't wait for the game. It's going to be a great game, and we've got that Waste Management golf tournament going on now too, which is going to be a great lead up into the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Snyder is definitely the guy that you want to read his content when it comes to all this golf stuff. He knows everything. He knows how long each blade of grass is going to be on the on the course and everything. So you definitely want to check out his write-ups. Join us on Run Pure. We actually got a good promo going right now. SB56 is going to get you 56% off your first month if you use that promo code, if you sign up now as a first-time subscriber to Run Pure Sports. And that includes any package that we're offering. You can get that on SaberSim. If you use the SB56, you would get 56% off your Run Pure combo with SaberSim. So that's a really good deal. It gives you an opportunity to check out not only Run Pure Sports, but also SaberSim with that. So let's hop into it, Snyder. I think we're looking at the Super Bowl here. It's an interesting matchup, like you were saying. Everyone I'm hearing tends to lean towards the Rams. There's a lot of the EPA guys are very heavy on the Rams. Like they're already anointing them the Super Bowl champions. As you know, Snyder and I have been on the Bengals all season, so we kind of... I don't know who you're leaning with, Snyder, in the Super Bowl. I'm leaning Bengals. I think they're going to have a tough matchup, but I think that the Rams are getting blown a little bit too much. I don't think that they're anywhere near as intimidating as people are making them out to be, but they are definitely... not a defense that you're going to want to take lightly. What are your thoughts on this matchup in general?
Yeah, for the game in total, like I'm kind of like gonna take the wait and see approach for the full game line, but I do like the Rams first half and the first half under. I think it's gonna kind of come out and they're gonna kind of trade blows. I think it's gonna play a little slower at the start. Both teams are gonna not be looking to make a big mistake here. And the Bengals have been a slow starter throughout these playoffs. They've been down a little bit in the first half, and they've came back against the Chiefs. They were down 21-3 at one point and came back. So if I can get like the Rams first half, I've already taken the Rams first half actually, but if I can get like the Bengals at like +7, +10 in game, like I'm definitely going to be looking to attack the Bengals in game if I can get them over a touchdown. But I think I wouldn't mind like even going like a teaser, like teasing the Bengals up to, if I can get the Bengals like tease up to like +10 and get like the over at like 41, 42, 40, somewhere in that range. I think that has some validity to it as well.
Yeah, I think the Bengals have been making some great second half adjustments all season long. You saw it perfectly illustrated last week against the Chiefs. They were getting pretty much crushed in that first half, and then there was a play at the end of that first half where they tried to go for a touchdown when they had an easy field goal, and they ended up running out of time because Tyreek, they threw it, I can't remember if it was behind the line of scrimmage, but they threw it to Tyreek, and they tried to get him to run it in up close, but he couldn't get it in. He got tackled, and the time expired. And things never really picked back up for the Chiefs. They ended up scoring, I think, like 3 points in the entire second half of that game. So whatever adjustment the Bengals made, I think the main adjustment they were doing is, I think on third down, or they were just basically, they were rushing 3 and dropping back 8. And I think they were doing that with man coverage before. Usually they do it with zone, but they started doing it with man coverage. And Mahomes couldn't perform against that adjustment, and they ended up coming away with it. They lit it up at third quarter, and then towards the end of the game, like we called it last week, I was saying that I believe that a defense on one of those teams, I was leaning towards the Bengals, so I was thinking that the Bengals defense was going to come up with a big play to seal the deal for the Bengals last week, and they ended up getting that huge sack at the end of regulation that forced the Chiefs to make a field goal, and then they ended up getting that interception in overtime that gave them the ball and enabled them to get in position for the field goal at the end there. So it was a good game, exciting game, and now we are on to the Super Bowl. I tend to lean towards the Bengals. Like, obviously, as we've been saying, we've been on them all season, but with the Bengals, I just think that they're still being underrated. Like every week, it seems in these playoffs, we've been hearing these betting guys and the EPA guys talking about how Joe Burrow's EPA sucks, like he's like a bottom whatever quarterback and stuff like that, and like just like bashing him, and the more they bash him, like they just continue to win, and they just keep sticking with those takes. But the Rams, like I was saying earlier, I don't think the Rams defense, I know it's the top, one of the top, if not the top defense in the league right now, but they have shown vulnerability. They're not invincible to be scored on. We can look at some of these point totals against them throughout the season. I'm looking at, let's see, I'll call up my game logs here. Let's see. There's a bunch of teams have scored, like 34 points against them by the. 24 points by the Colts. We had another 24 points against them by the Bucks. We had 37 points put up by the Cardinals. That was earlier in the season when the Cardinals were actually a decent team. Titans put up 28 against them. San Francisco put up 31. Green Bay put up 36. So they're not a team that can't be scored on. There's a lot of examples of that throughout the season. There's a point in the season, mid-season, where everybody was writing off the Rams. Everybody was on them in the beginning of the season. Everybody got off them in the middle of the season. And then as we got closer to the playoffs and the playoffs started and they started to advance through the playoffs, everybody got back on them. But yeah, I don't think that they deserve as much as much respect as they've been getting compared to the Bengals. I think they deserve respect, but I don't think that they're that much better of a team than the Bengals. I know that the advanced statistics kind of suggest that, but if we're looking at performance, I've heard some people writing off the Bengals advancing through the playoffs as, oh, well, the Raiders could have won, the Titans should have won, like that kind of stuff. But if we're looking at the Rams too, like the only game that they had really in huge handle on was the Cardinals. When they faced the Bucks, they almost blew that game. When they faced the 49ers, they had to come back in the fourth quarter or whatever it was. So, they've shown a lot of vulnerability, and I think that if you're leaning towards, an underdog like the Bengals, you could definitely make a case to have them beat that defense. What are your thoughts on the Rams defense and like the potential for the Bengals to pull off upset here?
Yeah, on paper, it definitely looks scary for Burrow when he's going to be taking the snap, when he's looking at Aaron Donald and Von Miller looking across from him. And then they got Jalen Ramsey's most likely going to be shadowing Jamar Chase, I think. So his number one target is going to have the number one cornerback on him. And so that's definitely going to present some challenges. But, I mean, just like you said, I expect this game to kind of start out a little slower, and maybe the Bengals get down early. But, you can never count out Joe Burrow. Going back to that first game back in LSU, it was the first time I really took notice of him, or he kind of put himself on the map, to me at least, was back at LSU when he beat that really strong Alabama team. That was the first time I kind of took notice of him. It's like, well, this kid's got it. Yeah, they had Justin Jefferson, they had Jamar Chase on that team. But, Joe Burrow, what he did in that game, he kind of put that team on his shoulders there and willed them to the victory there. So that was the early defining moment for me. And then he only got better as that went on, ended up winning the national championship there, comes into the NFL, goes down, gets hurt, serious knee injury, battles back, and now look at him this year. He's got that swagger going. You just can't count this kid out. I do think the Bengals are going to struggle, but I think, it could just be like we saw from those last previous games. Like the Rams could get up, Tampa Bay came back on them. I definitely could see Cincinnati coming back on them for sure. I kind of like Burrow and the secondary receivers more so for this Bengals passing attack. But then you look on the Rams side of the ball, though, too. Cooper Kupp's just an absolute cheat code, and the Bengals they've struggled mightily against slot receivers so far this year, and Cooper Kupp could just eat him up. I think he's went for I think he's had like over 350 yards total in both playoff games combined. Yeah, 143 and 183 yards in his two playoff games with 3 touchdowns combined on 20 catches. I could definitely see Kupp getting like 9 for 150 and 1 or 2 touchdowns here. So that's going to be tough. But I'm kind of torn on this game, like from a whole standpoint on who's going to win. I do think the Rams are going to be able to edge them out, but I think this is going to be a great game, and any outcome wouldn't surprise me. If Joe Burrow comes in, throws for like 380 and 4 touchdowns, and the Bengals win like 31-28 or something, definitely wouldn't surprise me. And with that score either way, I think it's going to open up more in the second half. But I am going to stick with the lower scoring first half, and I do like the Rams early in this game for sure.
Yeah, I think it's. I agree with you on the low score. I do think that Cooper Kupp, he's pretty much against teams that don't blitz like the Bengals. Stafford does much better against the blitz, but teams that don't blitz, I think Kupp has averaged something like 100 over 100 yards and probably about 20 plus plus DK points per game for those types of opponents. And He's pretty much a lock. It's just a matter if you want to use him as a captain or if you want to use him, like just as a flex player. I'm kind of leaning towards flex. If he's going to be captain, you're going to have to get really different on the rest of your team. You're competing against, in that big tournament, there's what, like 400,000 people that you're competing against, 400,000 lineups. So it's going to be tough to get different if you're trying to use Cup as your captain. But I feel like there's greater than, almost like a 50% chance that he ends up being the highest scoring player in this game. It would take some sort of an injury or some sort of a super weird game script for that not to happen. I think the Bengals are weak against the slot receivers. I really like Beckham in this game, but I don't know if he can outscore Cup. I don't think he's outscored him all season as far as DK points or just fantasy points in general. So it's really going to be a tough decision to figure out what to do with captain. I think if you're looking for salary savers, I think there's quite a few options if you want to go in a different route than Cup, where Cup could be the highest scoring player in the game, but using a different captain, cheaper captain, can get you more bang for your buck in the rest of your lineup, and you're just hoping at that point that Cup doesn't erupt for a 30-40 point game. One of the guys that I was looking at apart from Beckham is Higgins. And I think that Higgins, he's got a decent matchup. We look at the Rams defense; they're allowing a lot of 20-point scorers throughout the season as far as wide receivers. So, they're definitely vulnerable to wide receivers. I'd say more so than running backs. So I tend to lean towards a wide receiver captain in this game. And if I was going wide receiver on the Bengals, I think I'd lean more towards Higgins. If I was going away from Cup on the Rams, it'd be Beckham. But which way are you leaning? What way are you thinking for captain here, Snyder?
At captain, I've got a few different options I'm kind of weighing over. I definitely think Cup's the easy guy to plug and play. Like if you're playing cash games and what, I'm putting Cup as the projection I have for Cup early on right now is I've got him projected at 28 points, which is higher than the rest of the industry has him, but I'm going to bump him a little bit higher. He's coming off 35 and 40-point games in the first two playoff games. I definitely think 28 is a fair median projection for him, but like Odell, I think Odell's got some validity in being a captain. He's coming off his best game of the career of his year this year. Had 11 targets, 9 catches for 113 yards. His first time he's hit that 100-yard mark, and I can't remember what the last date was, but it's been quite a while, like years, I think, a couple years since he's hit the 100 mark. But say he goes for 9 and 120 and scores 2 touchdowns or something. I mean, you're going to have a lower owned guy right there. I'm looking at some ownership here. Let me see if I have it up. Yeah, I've got Beckham at about over half less ownership wise. Captain ownership, I'm seeing him right around that 5 to 7% range for captain ownership versus Cooper Kupp, who's going to be, I think, right around 25 or higher than that, even in captain. So I think he's definitely interesting from that standpoint. I mean, I have messed around and even put in some Tyler Boyd in some captains, or say I want to get both quarterbacks and maybe even Cooper Kupp or something in there. So with doing that, I think Boyd's going to kind of he hasn't done much the last 2 games, so he's going to be super, super low owned, but I kind of think that maybe Boyd takes more over of the Uzomah role, and they kind of use him to kind of plod, especially early in the game, just kind of dink and dunk down the field. Maybe somehow ends up with 7 catches for 70 yards, and if he gets inside the box once, I mean, that's a great payoff for his price tag. So he allows me to get both quarterbacks easier and I can see the game script where he is on the winning lineup too. So I think he's let me see his season high for the year. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's hit 20 points a couple of times this year. So a 20-point spot in the captain there for 5.4K. I mean, that's gonna pay off pretty well, I think, especially if it allows you to get both quarterbacks and both quarterbacks go for 25, 30 points. Cooper Kupp gets you like 30. I think you're sitting really well then with that type of build. Another captain I was looking at was maybe even jamming in one of these kickers. Like you could jam in McPherson. He's been really steady. I mean, anytime they get in field goal range, they just trot him out there. In both playoff games, he's hit a 50-yard field goal. He's 15, 18, 15 in his last 3 games. You get him in the captain, he puts up 15. You get 22 points from him at that low price tag. I mean, that definitely opens things up where you could even maybe stack 2 passing attacks, like get a Burrow and like a Boyd, and then you can play like Kupp, Stafford, and maybe another guy like Kendall Blanton or something in that captain spot. So that's kind of where I'm looking from the captain spot. If I do play Stafford in the captain, I'm definitely going to play Kupp and Beckham with him, or Kupp and Blanton with him. So I went 2 pass catchers with a quarterback, that if I'm going to play a quarterback in the captain spot. But that's kind of where I'm leaning from at the captain spot right now.
Yeah, the trends on quarterback at captain have definitely kind of reversed on us. I remember last few seasons before this one, it was always the captains were super high owned as the QBs were super high owned as captains, and now it's kind of reversed where they're becoming under owned at captain. I still tend to avoid the quarterback captains unless they have some rushing equity, just because even if Burrow goes off, he tends to lean on like one receiver. So it could either be Higgins, it could be Chase. I think there was one. There's been like one game this season where Boyd was the highest scoring on the entire game as far as DK points. So Boyd, yeah, he could definitely give you a super low owned captain that has precedence for being the highest scoring player in a game. So it's a lot of options there with the passing game as far as the Bengals. I think if you are going Cooper Kupp, like one thing that you might want to consider is maybe fading Matthew Stafford in those lineups. I think there's definitely potential for Cooper Kupp to rack up 30 points without Matthew Stafford throwing a touchdown. You know what I mean? Like he could like throw, that. Yeah, I mean like 15 receptions, 150 yards, and maybe Cooper Kupp doesn't get a touchdown. That's still like 30 DraftKings points, and then maybe the running backs rush in the touchdowns, or maybe you put the kicker in with Cooper Kupp as captain, and then just hope that all the touchdowns like are converted into field goals.
Yeah,
so if you build a Cooper Kupp captain lineup, you might want to consider ways that he could be the captain still without Stafford making a real impact on the game. As far as fantasy points that he's scoring. But
yeah, you could see I think even if Stafford throws for say 265 yards, if he throws for 265 and say Kupp gets 175 of those, I mean, and Stafford only throws like 1 touchdown or 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not going to pay off that price tag Stafford wise.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, there are definitely ways to differentiate yourself with Kupp, because I think a lot of people are probably going to script it in, like if I start Kupp at captain, make sure that Matthew Stafford is in that lineup type of thing. So, yeah, definitely get different there if you're planning on putting Kupp in that captain spot. What do you think about the running games here? I'm kind of liking the Rams side on as far as the running game. I think that the Bengals are pretty vulnerable to the run. I think that Akers has had some tough matchups since he's returned. He's faced some tough run defenses, and now he has pretty much the easiest matchup that he's had basically since he got back from his Achilles injury. And I think it's game script wise, it's setting up pretty good for him as far as what Vegas is expecting. And I don't think that a lot of people are completely confident in Akers right now. I think that people are kind of shying away. Like, I've heard a lot of talk about, oh, he's not the same running back. His, like, since he's returned from injury, he doesn't have any more explosiveness and stuff like that. But when you compare, what he's been doing compared to Sony Michel, it's really not that much of a difference. I think they've both been suffering from the defenses that they've been facing. But what are your thoughts on that, and is there a way that we can kind of exploit this negative narrative on Cam Akers in this matchup?
I think I'm gonna be kind of against you here. I think I'm gonna fade both running games as a whole. Like every running back, I'm just gonna X out. From the Rams, it sounds like Darrell Henderson is gonna be active and is gonna play this week too. So we could see Henderson, Michel, and Akers all in there. And I mean, if that comes to fruition, say Henderson gets 7 carries, Michel gets 5 to 7 carries. I mean, that's only leaving maybe 10 to 13 carries for Akers if they run the ball that much as a whole. And I think Akers is kind of a little nicked up as well. I seen that he didn't do a full practice or something. I was going to read that a little bit more.
He's got a shoulder injury.
Yeah, he's kind of nursing a shoulder injury a little bit. They say it's not going to affect him much, but I mean, if they got both those other running backs there, I think that's just too much for me to pay for that 6.4 price tag. So I think I'm going to be fading him. I'm actually going to be looking to bet the under on both of these teams' total rushing totals for the team totals too. So I'm kind of going to be on that side of the board. I think both passing games are the way I'm going to look to attack this game. So I'm going to be off of Akers. If Henderson does play, and I mean, they give him some rave reviews or something, they're really talking him up, I don't know if I could pay it, but I mean, he's going to be super low and he's only $1,600. I mean, maybe in that like huge million maker that he could maybe make it in there. If he gets, even if he only gets 5 carries, 20 yards and a touchdown, I could pay off that $1,600 price tag pretty easily. So that's something to think about. But I think I'm just going to be off of those guys. And then we got Joe Mixon, who's coming in on a huge price tag. I couldn't believe they priced him all the way up to 9,600 here. He hasn't hit 100 yards, and it's been like 8 or 9 games he's hit 100 yards. He hasn't scored. He's only scored 2 touchdowns in his last 7 games on the ground. He has been seeing some increased receiving role, but last week in that last game, he only had 3 catches for 27 yards. So 9,600 is just way too much for me to pay for him when I'd rather be looking to play some of these pass catchers and even the quarterbacks for that matter of fact. You got him at 9,600 and you can pay up not too much more, 9,600, and you can pay 1,200 more and you get Joe Burrow. You can pay 1,400 more, you can get Matthew Stafford, and you got Jamar Chase right there, who I'm not sure if I'm going to be on him as much, but you can get T. Higgins for cheaper, $2,000 cheaper, it's fact. Odell's right there too, so Mixon's just going to be a clear fade for me. And same with, what's his name, P. Ryan. I'm not going to be on him either.
Yeah, I'm with you on Mixon. I think if you're looking at it from a contrarian standpoint, I think a lot of people are going to be thinking that way. So if you were looking to work Mixon into your lineups, I think you might get a little less ownership than is being projected. Right now I'm seeing like a 13% projected captain ownership, and I don't know where that's coming from because I don't see anybody pushing Mixon right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think with Mixon, like, there's a potential if Uzoma's out, like, for him to be more involved in the passing game. He's been pretty significantly involved, but lately it seems though, even though that P. Ryan has been getting a lot of his passing work, it seems like P. Ryan's getting the targets recently versus Mixon. Let me take a look at the last few games here. I know in the playoffs, they've been using P. Ryan a lot more. During the season, it seemed like Mixon was getting a decent amount of pass work, But
Yeah.
lately, let's see, Mixon got 3 receptions last week against the Chiefs, and P. Ryan had 4 targets. 3 targets versus 4 targets. Mixon had 7 targets versus the Titans. So Mixon had 5 targets versus the Raiders. So maybe not as bad as I was thinking. It looks like he had 8 targets against the Chiefs in Week 17 too. So he's definitely been using in the passing game. Maybe it just seems that when P-Ron got that 40-yard touchdown reception,
that was kind of an
like
outlier catch.
Yeah, it felt like they were taking too much away from us because I had a lot of Mixon that week. But so this week I think I'm going to kind of get off them a bit, like you are. I'm not really on the Bengals run game. The thing that was driving me nuts against the Chiefs is they were running it every freaking time. Every first down they were getting, they were just like wasting it, like running it into a wall, getting like a yard or getting tackled in the backfield, and it was just like completely wasting their first down. If they pull that again against the Rams, then they're just going to get killed. You can't waste your downs like that. And it's just like they're playing to lose in those situations. And I don't think the coaching staff honestly is smart enough to figure that out. Like the head coach, like the guy.
I don't believe in him.
Oh my God, the guy is he's awful. Like these game plans. So it's just like the last couple weeks of the season they were crushing, like with the passing game, and then they went right back to their losing strategy. And they pulled off the wins. Like you can't really knock them for that. But like it's like, if you were planning on being down 21 points or whatever it was to the Chiefs and going into halftime and coming back from that, then if that's your game plan, then you got extremely lucky with that Chiefs game, and you're not gonna get that type of luck against a defense like the Rams if the Rams get a quick lead on you. If you keep running the ball on first down and being so freaking predictable with your play calling, you're just gonna get slaughtered.
I can't believe the ownership I'm seeing on both of these running backs. Like Akers, I'm seeing Akers anywhere from like 40 to 45% total ownership. I mean, if Akers beats me, he beats me. I mean, if I can eliminate like 40% of the field, hypothetically, I mean, I'll take the chance right there. I mean, they got Mixon and Akers at just the same ownership. Some of these sites that I'm looking at as Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Boyd, Odell Beckham, they're all lower than the 2 running backs, which is pretty surprising to me that I'm kind of seeing that so far. But yeah, I'd rather play the receivers, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you could get like some sneaky Jamar Chase in there. If everybody, I don't think that Ramsey's necessarily going to even be shadowing him, because they play a lot of zone, and Ramsey doesn't really like move around. And honestly, like what sense would it make when they got another receiver like Higgins for Ramsey to follow Chase? They'll just throw to Higgins. So like I mean, I think from a game planning standpoint, the Rams might consider, well, we got 2 solid wide receivers here. Like, why are we going to shadow one of these guys when we normally rarely shadow anybody? So I mean, if people are thinking that and they're fading Chase based on that type of thinking, I'm seeing what do we got here? 10% ownership in the captain. About, like maybe right
around 40% total.
Yeah. So if he's about a 40% total ownership, I mean, for a guy that could break the game open like Chase can, it feels kind of like a discount. And I think the reasoning for it being low is not necessarily going to come to fruition if it's due to them being afraid of Ramsey.
For sure. I haven't made up my mind what I'm going to do with Chase. I mean, that price tag's just a little high for me, but definitely can see Chase. I mean, Chase has the talent, like I've been talking about all year. He's got that 3rd, 4th, 5th gear where he can just completely take over a game, and if he gets the ball in open field, I mean, he's gone. I mean, there's nobody going to catch him. We've seen various times this year where he's made big plays once he gets some open field in front of him. But in both of these playoff games, it kind of feels like these teams have been trying to scheme him out of the games. Like he had 6 catches for 50 yards against the Chiefs and then 5 catches versus the Titans. So, I mean, we haven't seen those blow up games like we've seen 17 points and 19 points DraftKings wise in the 2 playoff games. So if he just does that again, I think that's an easy way to get off of him and that ownership and just kind of really get overweight more on Higgins and Boyd. And Cup's going to be massively owned, but I want to be at least with the field on Cup, I think. And I think Cup's going to be like right around 70 to 80%. So I might even just have to lock Cup in or I'm still debating with that. I haven't really built much teams yet. I'm just kind of playing around with our optimizer here with SaberSim and some handbills just to kind of see what's all hitting. And when I kind of mess around with the projections, which teams are hitting and how this is all incorporating throughout, like 50 teams or 100 teams or 150 teams, trying to get a grasp on where everybody's going to be and how we can kind of get different. But I think if we can eliminate, find 2 or 3 guys that I just make cold fades on, I think it's going to be Chase. I think it's going to be Akers. I think it's going to be Mixon. So if I can cold cut out 40% owned guys and then just kind of go my own pathway, I think that'll be somewhat unique, and then try and leave a little bit of salary on the table too as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. I think that as far as the tight end situation in Cincinnati, that's where Boyd gets a little interesting, because if they don't have Uzoma, or if Uzoma is limited, then I feel like those passes that Uzoma was getting are going to go to Boyd, and it's been really frustrating with Boyd the last few weeks, because I've been playing him for a few weeks in a row now, and it seems like anytime it seems like the ideal situation for Boyd to have a significant game, he ends up doing nothing. So it's he had that touchdown versus the Raiders, but I don't think he's really done anything besides that in the playoffs. So it's been a little bit tricky with him, but I could totally see him coming out of nowhere and just having a big game, or at least a decent game, especially for his price. He's 5,400. He could easily score 20 points. But it's kind of if you look at his ownership, he's probably about the same ownership as Beckham. Like Beckham's obviously more expensive. He's 8,400 versus 5,400. I would definitely lean Beckham as far as that ownership. But yeah, with Boyd, it's kind of been tough sledding lately, and he's priced right around Van Jefferson, who is who's going to be much less owned. And these are the types of games where they've been game planning for 2 weeks. Jefferson hasn't really done anything in a few weeks. Maybe they're designing a few field stretching plays for Jefferson where he just ends up getting a 80-yard bomb to the house. What are your thoughts on Jefferson here?
Yeah, he's kind of still nicked up, kind of hampering that knee injury, but I definitely think he's got the upside to he's definitely the deep play threat they've been using throughout the season when he's been healthy. And so he's had some games where he's had a 79-yard catch versus the Packers, a 68-yard catch versus the Texans, 41-yard pass versus the Cardinals here a few weeks ago. And I could see him they could even incorporate him in some end arounds or something. So he's kind of been a little dusty here as he's been nursing the injuries here as of late. So he hasn't been incorporated as much in the offense. Against the 49ers, he did see 5 targets, but he didn't do much with them, only 2 catches for 9 yards. But he's definitely that deep threat burner that is going to be low owned. I could see him anywhere from 10, maybe 15, maybe 17% owned. He's definitely that million maker type play if you are going to play if you did want to play a Stafford, Cup, and then throw Van Jefferson in there. That makes a lot of sense, I think.
Yeah, I think you differentiate your lineup a bit there too. But like another thing with those those Bengals tight ends, there was a guy Wilcox, Mitchell Wilcox that got he got all the targets in week 18 where everyone else was sitting. Maybe if Uzoma is just going to be going into the game for stats, like for the because if he's healthy enough to get on the field, they'll put him on the field, but it's just a matter of how effective he's going to be. And if the Bengals are running a lot of two tight end sets, maybe Wilcox, goes in like more as a pass catching tight end, and maybe he catches a touchdown or something, or maybe he catches a couple passes, but he's got a salary of 200. We don't know if he's going to be active or anything like that, but like if Uzoma is hurt and kind of forcing his way onto the field, then I would not be surprised if he's used more as kind of a blocker or a decoy in the game, and like one of these secondary tight ends manages to sneak away, or Boyd, like we were saying, manages to sneak away with some extra targets and maybe a extra reception or two, possibly a red zone look.
Yeah, for sure. I've read a little bit about Uzoma injury-wise. Sounds like he had like a minor MCL injury, which he's had the 2 weeks off now. I think he's going to be limited for sure. I would be surprised if he played. I'd be surprised if he played 50% of the snaps. I think he's going to kind of be used as just like a blocker or decoy kind of deal. I would look to maybe Drew Sample had a couple targets in that game, but I don't know if I would really look to any other guys. The one that is the question for the tight ends is Tyler Higbee. I don't think he's going to play. It sounds like he's pretty doubtful. Kendall Blanton, he got in there, and they priced him up. Maybe the price scares people off. He's priced up to 4,600, so I think he's interesting in some Rams stacks. He had 5 targets, caught all 5 targets, 57 yards, a nice little 10-point game from him last game. Definitely an interesting guy I'll have in my player pool for sure. Definitely, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm on the tight end position, just Kendall Blanton. I don't think I'm going to play either Uzoma or the backups for Cincinnati. Do you have any conviction on these kickers? I think both of these kickers are both pretty solid. I'm going to project them both at the same. I'll probably project them both at like 9 points or something. Yeah. Gay's been solid. He's been hitting double figures almost every game for the last 8 games. And then McPherson, too. He's got a leg on him. He's got so much confidence. I don't know who has much swagger, McPherson or Burrow. This kid's just been unreal for a fresh rookie. 3 straight games of 15 or more points. They're gonna give him the ball, or when they're in field goal range, they're not gonna hesitate about it. I think Zach Taylor's, especially early, I think Zach Taylor's gonna be looking to take the points when he can, as well as we know McVay will take the points when he can as well. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards in the first half. Kind of why I'm on the under there.
Yeah, I'm gonna project probably 9 fantasy points for McPherson in this game. I think he could easily get a 40-yarder, a 30-yarder, and like 2 extra points or something like that. So I definitely going to project him up from where I'm seeing him projected, and just see where he kind of falls as far as lineups, unless I got specific specific ideas in mind for my game scripts or whatever. But yeah, I think he's going to be pretty significantly owned in my player pool. The kickers, I don't see a lot of huge projections for them in the DraftKings contest. So, you could definitely use him as a low owned guy that's guaranteed points. Like the Bengals, like Snyder was saying, their offense has been sputtering a lot, like during these playoffs, and the coaches aren't making the right offensive adjustments to get back to where they were on a roll at the end of the season. So that part scares me a little bit about backing the Bengals. I don't have faith in them, like turning things around, like just because the coaching staff's, like the head coach is an idiot, like, and you look at their records of what they were doing before Burrow came along, and when he got hurt last season, they just shit the bed. And that's how they ended up getting Chase, at least, But like they're like they bumbled their way into Burrow and Chase, and somehow those two guys basically carried the team along with Mixon staying healthy and outperforming, and the defense doing well. I like the defensive coordinator a lot more than I do the head coach. I tell you that, like in the OC. So. Hopefully these guys are able to get it together for the Super Bowl and realize, dude, like when do you honestly believe in the AFC you're going to make it here again, like anytime soon? So just ball out, man. Like let Burrow throw. Don't be conservative. Like just fucking go nuts. Look at what the Eagles did against the Patriots a few years ago. Like when you act aggressively and like unintimidated by your opponent. Like and don't play with fear of losing a lead or fear of giving the other team an opportunity with the ball. Just go nuts and freaking sling it, because you got the team that's able to do it. But like your coaching is hurting the team. So get it together, Bengals. So I think the last thing we can touch on, because I got to get out of here for this NBA show. The defense, I don't hate the idea of playing, either defense for this game. I think I could see, could see a defensive touchdown if it goes a lot to the air, and I could definitely see Stafford making a bunch of mistakes, and I could see Burrow taking a bunch of sacks. So there's plenty of opportunity for interceptions. Pick sixes by the Bengals defense, then there's plenty of opportunity for, sack fumbles to the house for the Rams defense, and even interceptions for the Rams defense as well. So, I don't hate playing either defense. I would look at their ownership, see where they're being projected. I think the Bengals are super low projection for their ownership. So. I mean, that's one way you could get sneaky with with Kupp and the captain. Is just add the Bengals defense on there and then fade Stafford. Maybe he's throwing interceptions and the kickers and the running backs and Kupp are handling the rest. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think both defenses are viable in this game. We got the Bengals defense. They've had 5 interceptions and 5 sacks in the 2 playoff games, so they've been getting some pressure. And they've been active in the secondary, and we've seen what Stafford does. When Stafford is good Stafford, we've got bad Stafford. Like he was just absolutely horrendous down the stretch of the regular season, but in the playoffs, he's been much, much better. So if he reverts to bad Stafford, I mean, he could throw a pick or 1 or 2 pick sixes here. I would not be surprised at all. And looking at the other side of the defense, we got the Rams defense, and I mean Donald and Von Miller. We saw what Tennessee did to this offensive front. I think the Rams defensive front has a much bigger advantage there, so we could see Burrow getting sacked 6 to 8 times. I think in this game wouldn't surprise me at all. And with that added pressure on the quarterback, I mean that could lead to some errant throws and maybe a pick six of his own coming the other way. So I definitely think both defenses are definitely viable, and I'll have both defenses in like an MME run for me for sure. Yeah,
same here. So I guess that's all we can cover right now. I got to jump out and get ready for NBA show we got coming up. But definitely make sure to check out Underdog. They got a great 2022 best ball contest going on right now called the Big Board. It's a $10 entry and a big prize pool there. And you can start getting an idea of how these 22 drafts are going. You can sign up using the promo code RunPure, and that's going to get you up to $100 match on your first deposit. So $100. That's 10 entries into this thing. So you got nothing to lose by signing up for it and using that promo code RunPure. And don't forget to sign up for our premium service if you haven't already. you can use the promo code SB56, and that's going to get you 56% off your first month on any subscription. That includes the Saber Sim combo. You could get the bets combo there. You could get like whatever. You get the 56% off your first month for first subscribers. So make sure to take advantage of that. And give us a like on the video. It helps us out a lot. If you have any best ball teams that are remaining in the gauntlet or the gauntlet returns and you want people to root on with you, make sure to leave it in the comment section. Let us know who you have left. If anything that Snyder or myself said over these past few weeks helped you get into those playoffs, let us know in the comments so we can root on with you. And let's keep running pure. And Snyder, you got any final thoughts?
Not really. I'm just looking forward to this Super Bowl, and I'm looking forward to the golf tournament finishing, and then looking on to getting onto the main course in the Super Bowl. We're gonna have a lot more content going forward too. The Print Factory is going to be Thursday night, I believe, in the morning, or the Wood Show with Hoop and Big T. That'll be back, I believe, Friday the 11th. So, I mean, I'll be looking forward to watching those two shows as well. And hopefully you can run well with your remaining best ball teams. I'd like to see you finish high up there. That'd be awesome. And to anybody else, any other subscribers, I wish you guys all the best of luck as well. Hopefully we can all run pure this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Hit us up in the Discord too, in the Best Ball channel. Let us know how your teams are doing, and especially in the YouTube chat. Let's get everybody on board with rooting on each other in these finals, whether it's the mittens or the gauntlets or whatever you ended up in these finals with. Let's all cheer for each other. And good luck, guys. And until next time, we'll be having more of these 2022 drafts soon. We'll be able to put our full focus on those once this season is over. And yeah, like we said, keep running pure.